How many times have you watched someone achieve extraordinary success and wondered what separates them from everyone else? We tend to look for complex answers, some unique talent, rare opportunity, or secret knowledge they possess that we don't. But here's the truth that's hiding in plain sight. The gap between where most people are and where they want to be isn't usually about knowledge or ability. It's about something far more fundamental. Think about your own life for a moment. How many goals have you set with genuine enthusiasm only to abandon them weeks later? How many times have you promised yourself, this time will be different, only to fall back into the same patterns? This struggle is universal. We all experience this disconnect between our intentions and our actions. It's not because we lack intelligence. It's not because we lack information about what to do. And it's not even because we lack motivation, at least not initially. The real challenge and the real opportunity lies in something much more basic, yet infinitely more powerful. Here's the simple rule that will change your life forever. Consistency trumps intensity every single time. That's it. Not particularly flashy or complex, is it? But within this straightforward principle lies the secret to transforming virtually every aspect of your life. The rule states that showing up consistently, day after day, even when you don't feel like it, will always outperform sporadic bursts of intense effort followed by abandonment. Small, consistent actions compound over time to create remarkable results that no amount of short-term intensity can match. Why this rule works? The power of compounding. Consistency works because it harnesses the power of compounding, the same principle that makes investments grow exponentially over time. When you commit to daily small improvements, the results don't just add up, they multiply. Consider this. If you improve just 1% each day for a year, you'll end up 37 times better by the end of that year. Not 35% better, which would be impressive enough, but 3,700% better because of compounding. Conversely, if you decline by 1% each day, you'll decline to nearly zero over the same period. Neural pathways and habit formation. From a neurological perspective, consistency literally rewires your brain. Each time you repeat an action, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with that behavior, making it increasingly automatic over time. This is how habits form. Research shows it takes anywhere from 18 to 234 days to form a habit, with an average of 66 days. Most people give up long before their actions become automatic. They rely on motivation and willpower, which are finite resources, rather than systems of consistency that make desired behaviors inevitable. Psychological momentum. Consistency creates psychological momentum. Each small win reinforces your identity as someone who does what they say they'll do. This shift in self-perception is powerful because humans are driven to act in alignment with their identity. When you consistently show up for your goals, you begin to see yourself as the type of person who achieves those goals, creating a positive feedback loop. Applying the rule in different life domains. Career advancement. In professional life, consistency manifests as showing up fully engaged every day, continually building skills, and maintaining quality work even when motivation wanes. The employee who consistently delivers solid work gains more trust than the occasional superstar who is unreliable. Consider adopting these consistent practices. Dedicate 20 minutes each workday to learning something that enhances your professional value. Send one thoughtful follow-up or connection email daily. Begin each workday by completing one important task before checking email. Conduct a 5-minute reflection at day's end to document lessons learned. Relationships. Healthy relationships don't thrive on grand gestures alone, but on daily acts of attention and care. The most successful marriages and friendships are built on consistent presence and engagement. Consistency in relationships might look like a daily 10-minute distraction-free conversation with your partner, weekly one-on-one time with each child, monthly check-ins with important friends, even when life gets busy, regular expressions of appreciation for those you care about. Personal growth. The domain of personal development is perhaps where consistency shows its greatest power. Reading 10 pages daily outperforms occasional reading binges. Daily reflection creates more self-awareness than occasional retreats. Consider these consistency practices for personal growth. Morning journaling for 5 minutes. Reading 10 pages of a meaningful book daily. Weekly review of your goals and values. Daily practice of a new skill for just 15 minutes. Mental well-being. Mental health benefits tremendously from consistent practices. Regular meditation, even for brief periods, shows greater benefits than occasional longer sessions. Consistent sleep schedules regulate mood better than catching up on weekends. For mental well-being, consistency might include daily 5-minute meditation or mindfulness practice, consistent sleep and wake times, weekly technology detox for 3 to 4 hours, daily gratitude practice, noting 3 specific things, overcoming obstacles to consistency. I don't have time. This common objection reveals a misunderstanding of consistency. The rule doesn't demand large time investments. It works precisely because it focuses on manageable actions performed regularly. Try this. Identify one priority in your life right now. Now determine the smallest possible meaningful action you could take daily toward that priority. Make it so small it seems almost trivial, something you could do in 5-10 minutes. That's your consistency target. Remember, you don't need an hour, you need daily engagement, however brief. I'm not seeing results. Consistency's challenge is that results often aren't visible in the short term. The compound effect takes time to manifest visibly. The solution: track your process, not just outcomes. Create a visual system for recording your consistent actions. A calendar with X marks, a digital tracker, or a journal. Celebrate showing up, not just achieving results. When you focus on accumulating days of consistency, you create motivation through visible progress in your process, even before dramatic results appear. Life gets in the way. Life's interruptions, travel, illness, work crises, threaten consistency. The key is planning for interruptions rather than being surprised by them. Develop contingency plans for your consistent actions. If you can't do your normal 30-minute routine, what's your 10-minute version? If you can't do 10 minutes, what's your 2-minute emergency minimum? If you miss a day entirely, what's your rule for getting back on track immediately? The goal isn't perfect adherence. It's minimizing gaps and recovering quickly when they occur. I get bored easily. For those who crave variety, consistency can feel monotonous. The solution isn't abandoning consistency, but building variety within your consistent framework. For example, if you commit to daily exercise, vary the type of movement. If you commit to daily learning, rotate between different topics or learning methods. If you commit to daily writing, experiment with different formats or subjects. The consistent element remains daily action, while the content provides novelty. Practical implementation, your consistency system. Now let's build your personal consistency system. A framework that makes applying this rule practically inevitable. Step 1. Select your consistency targets. Choose 1 to 3 areas of your life where applying the consistency rule would create the most significant positive change. For each area, define the daily minimum action, so small you can't say no. The standard action, your normal target, when life is flowing smoothly. The expanded action, for days when you have extra time and energy. Having these 3 tiers prevents all or nothing thinking and keeps your consistency chain unbroken, even during challenging periods. Step 2, create environmental triggers. Consistency thrives when tied to existing habits or environmental cues. For each consistent action, identify when will you do it, after which existing habit, where will you do it, designate a specific location, what visual trigger will remind you, an object, note or phone alert. Research shows that implementation intentions, specific plans, linking actions to situations, dramatically increase follow-through. Step 3, establish your tracking system. What gets measured gets managed. Create a simple, visible system for tracking your consistency. Options include a wall calendar where you mark completed days, a habit tracking app that shows streaks, a journal with a daily or consistency checklist, a visual progress bar that fills as you accumulate consistent days. Your tracking system should be visible daily and provide satisfaction when updated. Step 4, build in accountability. Consistency becomes more sustainable with appropriate accountability. Consider an accountability partner with whom you check in regularly. Public commitments to friends or social media audiences. Financial stakes, money donated to charity if you break consistency. Regular review sessions with yourself to assess patterns. The right accountability feels supportive rather than punitive. Step 5, plan for failure recovery. Even with the best system, you'll occasionally mistake. The difference between those who succeed with consistency and those who don't often comes down to how quickly they recover. Create your personal failure recovery protocol with these elements. A no 2 days in a row rule, never miss twice. A non-negotiable next day minimal action. A reflection practice to understand patterns without judgment. A self-forgiveness ritual that helps you move forward quickly. Remember, consistency isn't about perfection, it's about pattern over time. The psychology of making consistency. Understanding the psychological dimensions of consistency helps you work with your mind rather than against it. Identity-based consistency. The most powerful consistency comes when aligned with your identity, who you believe yourself to be. Rather than saying, I'm trying to write daily, shift to, I am a writer who writes daily. This subtle shift moves consistency from something you do to something you are. Actions stemming from identity face less internal resistance because they affirm rather than challenge your self-concept. Take a moment to reframe your consistency targets as identity statements. I exercise 3 times weekly becomes, I am an active person who moves my body daily. I'm trying to eat healthier becomes, I am someone who nourishes my body thoughtfully. I should meditate more becomes, I am a person who prioritizes mental clarity. The role of minimum viable commitment. Psychologically, we resist what feels overwhelming. This is why your minimum daily action should be almost laughably small, so small that excuses become obviously hollow. Can't find 20 minutes to work out? Fine, do 1 push-up. Don't have time to write? Write 1 sentence. Too busy to read? Read 1 paragraph. The magic happens because once you start the minimal version, you've overcome the psychological barrier of initiation, and continuing often feels easier than stopping. Leveraging positive reinforcement. Your brain responds powerfully to rewards. Design your consistency system to provide immediate positive reinforcement, rather than delayed gratification alone. After completing your consistent action, take a moment to physically mark it as complete. The dopamine hit of checking boxes is real. Briefly savor the feeling of having done what you committed to. Connect today's action to your larger vision by visualizing your future self, thanking you. This positive reinforcement loop strengthens the neural pathways that support consistent behavior. Consistency versus balance. An important distinction. Consistency isn't the same as rigid adherence or obsession. True consistency accommodates life's natural rhythms and your changing needs. Sustainable consistency. Sustainable consistency incorporates regular renewal periods, daily, weekly, seasonally, adjustments based on feedback and results, flexibility in approach while maintaining the core commitment, balance between different life domains. The goal isn't machine-like repetition, but a dependable rhythm that supports thriving in all aspects of life. The seasonal approach. Nature teaches us that even within consistency, there are seasons of greater and lesser intensity. Consider adopting a seasonal approach to your consistent actions. Seasons of growth, where you expand your consistent actions. Seasons of harvest, where you enjoy the fruits of consistency. Seasons of rest, where you maintain minimal consistency while recovering. Seasons of reflection, where you evaluate and adjust your consistency target. This cyclical approach prevents burnout while maintaining the core principle of never completely abandoning your practice. Let's address some common doubts that might arise as you consider applying this rule to your life. Isn't this just another productivity hack? No, productivity hacks typically focus on doing more in less time. The consistency rule is about sustained engagement over time, regardless of immediate productivity. It's about showing up for what matters most, day after day, which ultimately produces deeper results than any hack. What about spontaneity and flexibility? Consistency creates freedom rather than restricting it. When your most important priorities receive consistent attention, you actually gain more freedom to be spontaneous in other areas. The most consistently creative people often have structured daily practices supporting their spontaneity. Haven't I heard this before? Why would it work now? You've likely encountered similar ideas, but understanding a principle isn't the same as applying it systematically. The detailed implementation system we've discussed transforms an abstract concept into practical daily action. The difference this time is in the specific application and follow-through. What if my life circumstances change drastically? Life changes are precisely when consistency matters most. Your specific actions may need adjustment, but maintaining consistency in your core principles during transitions provides stability when everything else feels uncertain. The consistency rule is adaptable to any circumstance when properly understood. As we conclude, I want you to envision yourself 1 year from now, having applied the consistency principle to your most important priority. Imagine the compound effect of hundreds of small actions, accumulated over 365 days. Picture the person you'll become through this process, not just the results you'll achieve, but how your relationship with yourself will transform. The simple rule we've explored, that consistency trumps intensity, isn't merely about accomplishing goals. It's about becoming someone who honors commitments to yourself. It's about developing the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can trust yourself to show up day after day. The most profound change may not be in any external achievement, but in how you come to see yourself as someone capable of sustained commitment, worthy of your own trust, able to transform intention into reality through the power of consistent action. Starting today, choose one area for consistent action. Make it small, make it daily, make it non-negotiable, track it visibly, and watch as day by day, this simple rule begins to change everything. Remember, the gap between who you are and who you want to be is filled by your daily actions, consistently performed. The journey of consistency isn't always exciting. It rarely makes for dramatic stories, but it is the surest path to meaningful change and lasting fulfillment. Your new life is built one consistent day at a time, and it begins now. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to make 2 commitments right now. First, decide on your initial consistency target. the one small action you'll perform daily without fail. Share it in the comments below to strengthen your commitment. Second, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos exploring specific applications of the consistency principle in different life domains. Remember, your future self is built by your present actions, consistently performed. Let's build that future together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining me today.